It is 2024. Shout out to all of you. Ghana may have triggered the year of return in 2019, but it appears a lot of brothers and sisters from the diaspora are seemingly shifting towards South Africa increasingly. What's the reason for that? We need to find out. So stick around and let's hear what they have to say.
There's nothing like living in a place where you have a sense of peace. You feel a sense of belonging. You embody what is as it relates to the indigenous history of a country and of a continent. And in this video, I want to talk about what it feels like, what it means to live in the majority in South Africa. What that's like. What is that like? I get so many messages, asking me, why did I decide? But majority of them, of course, are positive, right? The majority of the comments that I get from people all over the world, including the beloved community of South Africa, the beloved South Africans that have embraced me and welcomed me so beautifully. I want to say thank you to everyone in the South African community from all over South Africa, all of the provinces, because I truly feel that welcome. Not only here through YouTube, but when I walk outside of my door, right? The conversations that I have, the love that I get, the love that my children get, because we are literally home. This is home. This is our home. This is the place where we were involuntarily removed from 400 years ago, right? There is the 1619 Project. I saw it was premiering on Hulu. And, some people will ask in the comments, why would you want to go back to the place that sold us? And when you don't understand the history, you only learn and understand the history that is taught to you. You can never understand the fullness of what it means to return to the continent of Africa as an indigenous African, as someone with indigenous African blood, right? You'll never know if you're only listening to the history that is being told to you. You yourself must explore that history. So, this gets deep, but let me introduce myself first. To those that are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Ashley. On my channel, Ashley in Africa, I talk about my experience living, moving, and doing business on the continent of Africa. And this is my second country in Africa that I have lived. I am currently living in South Africa, in the province of Gauteng, in Johannesburg, South Africa. And I love it. I love it. Many of you who have been following my journey know that we first moved to Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, and I absolutely love that experience. And there we were also in the majority. But I share, and will continue to share some of the similarities that feel so familiar being here in South Africa. It's not only the infrastructure, but it is so much of a similar history that we share that helps South Africans be relatable to African Americans and vice versa.
Obviously, one of the greatest connections for African Americans moving to South Africa is the slave legacy and the apartheid that was brought about by the white minority rule in South Africa. That commonality makes it a lot easier for African Americans and Africans of diaspora and South Africans, especially indigenous South Africans, to understand each other, to share a certain culture, a trauma, if you wish. And that goes a long way in that kind of connection that creates the brotherhood and the sisterhood for two different communities that were tormented over periods, extended periods of time. And if you can remember your history, those who can, Steve Biko was an icon in South Africa. And while Mandela was in jail, young people like Steve Biko, then a student, a university student, engaged in the push to have South Africa liberated from apartheid. Denzel Washington, in his early years as an actor, played the role of Steve Biko in Cry Freedom. And if there's one film that really must have created the journey that cemented African Americans and South Africans, it is this film. I watched it right after high school. It was so powerful, and even as an individual, as a Kenyan, I connected with my brothers and sisters in South Africa over this film. Denzel performing as Steve Biko, you know, the famous line,
"Why do you call yourselves white?
You see more pink than white," was so powerful, so poignant that you couldn't help but really empathize with what was happening in South Africa. So that's a great journey that is so rich in history, that really connects two communities from separate worlds, but obviously with so much in common, that finally finding home in South Africa is huge. So it is little wonder then that now you have African Americans, South Africans of diaspora traveling down to South Africa, investing, buying homes, you know, maybe falling in love, finding new family, and just enjoying what South Africa has to offer. If you talk culture, it's rich in music, amapiano, jazz, Hugh Masekela, you know, those who've gone by, even the younger generation and the older, all becoming this part of a huge melting pot of culture. And man, South Africa is rich in this. This you can't deny. Culture hits you the minute you get into that country. From traditional dressing, from their food, from their music, other communities, the Xhosa, the Zulu. The Zulu, if you remember the Zulu, Shaka Zulu, the man whose community, whose soldiers were able to hold fort, keep the colonizers at bay for the longest time, you know. This place is rich. South Africa also, for anybody who's coming from the States, is that place that has the amenities that you can relate to, the conveniences of life. It's a huge economy, one of Africa's biggest economies. The infrastructure, from the road network to the phone network, there's a lot that South Africa can offer. From the game parks to the coastline, talk about Cape Town. You also look at things like sports. South African rugby is huge. It's got a huge following, and having won the World Cup, especially during that time when Nelson Mandela was president, was such a huge feat and was celebrated for the longest time. And indeed, eventually, South Africa also got the opportunity to host the World Cup. So this country is one of the places to be. It is little wonder that traffic is heading there. Ghana will still hold its place, have its bragging right as the country that initiated the Year of Return. But that Year of Return now has then meant that Africans of diaspora are traveling across Africa, and everybody is claiming a piece of the pie. South Africa obviously is a big player in this. Listen, men, South Africans and those who've traveled to South Africa, share your comments on what you believe or what you think are some of the things that I've missed out on that really are gems for those who are traveling, for those who are willing to relocate, and how best they can do that. Please share that in the comments. And as well, if you're here for the first time, we are trying to build a community and make an analysis of what's happening on the continent of Africa, to invite our brothers and sisters to return home, to invest, to tour the continent, pilgrimage to Africa, and just embrace the motherland. This is the hour for the continent. This is the time. So if this resonates with you and it is something you can share with friends and family, please subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss any of our notifications, and of course like, because this will really help us take this channel further. The year has just turned, and I want to say a big thank you to the subscribers that we have got so far, and I do believe we are building a tribe here. This is Africa, our business. Let's make it our business. Let's make Africa work for us, continental Africans, and for our brothers and sisters who are out there, who are willing to take that bold step to return home, fly back home when their ancestors were forced out in ships. This is our moment. I thank you and wish you all the best. Peace, and we'll see you again in the next video. Please check out the rest